So on my journey to self-improvement, I remember I was looking for books to read, and when looking, I found this book called Monkey Mind. And before, I used to feel so guilty for all the thoughts that I used to have, but the book actually made a lot of sense because of the way it broke it down. So firstly, we have our monkey mind, which is basically our thoughts, our emotional impulses, and then we have the human. So that would be us having the ability to reflect on our thoughts. And then last of all, we have the computer, which is basically our programming from whence we were a child, or how we were raised, and all the things that we've learned so far to make us the person we are. So what makes us our personality is made up of our monkey, the human, and then the computer. Reaction is the monkey, taking control, but we can learn to control that monkey by having different programming, but also by having facts and knowledge to back that up, which again kind of adds to the programming that we're doing. So if we know something about ourselves, or we know something, a fact now, that can prevent us from acting a certain way. Like before, I didn't really think too much about the risk management when it came to trading, which, I mean, of course, is such an important part of trading and becoming successful. Like if you're able to have your risk management on point, honestly, the strategy is not as important. I've heard many stories of all these successful traders that had such basic trading ideas, but they were masters at managing their risk, which at the end of the day is managing yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, knowing when not to go in the charts and when to go into a trade, having basically mastering yourself. So what separates us from animals is that we have the consciousness to actually be self-aware, to recognize that we have feelings and emotions, and the animal instinct in us, the impulses and emotions that we have, we can recognize them. We can be self-aware enough to be like, okay, I'm angry right now. And while it takes practice, we don't have to act on our impulses or our emotions. And the difference is that a lot of animals, they don't have that ability to recognize it. I mean, not a lot. Am I saying a lot of animals? Animals don't have that ability to recognize, hey, I'm angry right now, and they just act on their impulse. They act on their emotions. So I used to have a lot of anger issues, and I didn't understand why, or I just thought that was the way I was. That I was angry, and really, I just kind of accepted that as part of my personality. It wasn't until I started, reflecting more and realizing, hey, like, and digging deeper. And I think that's the human thing in us, is that we can, like I've mentioned, we can be self-aware and look at our impulses or emotions and being like, why am I acting this way? Why am I like this? And then take that initiative to dig deeper and find out. I mean, a lot of it has to do with maybe trauma we had as a child, or things that have made our personality as we've grown up. The situations that we've been in, that we just kind of don't question who we are and why we are the way we are. I feel like the majority of people just kind of float by, not really asking questions and digging deep, because at the end of the day, it's quite difficult. It's very uncomfortable to dig deep into ourselves. I think that's why initially as well, I was very uncomfortable with silence. I was not able to sit in a room alone with my thoughts. It was torture. And a lot of people, we distract ourselves from feeling. And that's something that's so common nowadays, that we can just escape, when instead of we should be dealing with our emotions and kind of reflecting. I mean, I do think there's a time and place where we should indulge ourselves and distract ourselves, but not, there should be moments where we take a moment to actually self-reflect and be like, hey, maybe why am I feeling this way, and question ourselves instead of just being emotional and reacting to our impulses. Honestly, trading was one of those things that really made me reflect on my mistakes, because I made a lot of mistakes. I was greedy. I was impulsive. I remember nights where I'd just literally be laying in bed, sweating and sweating, literally shaking. I've had nights where I was shaking from anxiety and stress of like holding a trade overnight. And it's like, obviously that's telling me something about myself. It shouldn't be that way. I shouldn't be so stressed. And that to me taught me that, hey, maybe I'm risking more than I'm comfortable with, right? Maybe I'm putting too much on this trade. So things like that really, change your perspective. So that kind of comes back to the computer, which the book talks about, is the programming that we have and how we can actually change that programming. So part of what helped me change my programming is learning new information, seeing new techniques, and then actually putting those techniques in place, creating discipline for myself. All these things are, what actually makes it become part of your programming is the consistency of doing it over and over and over and over again. Overnight, you're not going to just be able to rid yourself of your anger issues. You're going to have to work at it and work at it, work at it. And the first step in that is just being self-aware enough to be like, hey, take a pause when you're thinking, take a pause before you act. It's massive in changing who you are and working on improving yourself. When I was able to take a pause and be like, why am I so angry? Why am I doing these things? And started questioning myself, I was able to, reflect and actually do the hard thing where I didn't know why I acted certain ways. And I won't share the exact details, but I've learned that certain trauma in my childhood was maybe factors in why I acted a certain way. And I was not aware of it until I started asking questions, and it actually helped me build better relationships with my family members and friends and stuff like that. When I actually started learning more about myself, instead of creating this disconnect with people, I was creating better bonds and creating better relationships with people around me. And you'll realize the more vulnerable you are. Where I mean, I did have this problem where you need to choose who you're vulnerable with, because there will unfortunately be people that take advantage of your vulnerability. But if they're family members and they're people that really matter to you, and friends that you want to create a deep personal connection with, then you need to cross that barrier and be vulnerable with them. And a lot of the times they'll reciprocate, and then you can create this deeper bond with people. So yeah, honestly, if you're able to, I mean, this book in itself was just, it was definitely eye opening. I definitely thought of it before, but I didn't really had it like playing out for me to see that, hey, like that makes a lot of sense. There's that when you're having those emotions, you can be like, oh, that's just a monkey in my head. Like that's not really me. That your emotions, your impulses, your thoughts don't necessarily define who you are. It's your actions that define who you are, and what you do with them, right? So that's what makes us human, and it's a great gift that we have, that we're able to reflect and make our choices for ourselves. I mean, I'm human. I think we can all say we've had some very less dark, I guess, maybe dark or not great thoughts or whatever. But that doesn't mean I went and acted on them. Like in my, oof. Okay, I'll share something. So as a kid, as you're going through puberty, you learn, you start to have feelings that you weren't aware of before, and I didn't even understand what was going on with me. I was just having these thoughts and feelings and whatever, right? Your body's developing into itself, and you start to have these feelings, and that's the monkey right there. Like it doesn't define who you are. Like I never, or no, I wouldn't say I would never, but I wouldn't act on every emotion I have. That's crazy. Those are the people that are so-called animals. So I actually have some of the quotes when it comes to programming. So for example, in the book, it refers to your programming as the bad thoughts as a gremlin. So for example, I have to make a good impression. Well, then you would replace that with your new programming, which is good for you, would be, I can only be myself, and what they make of that is up to them. Or I'm about to be judged. You can change that to, they are going to meet me, and whether they judge me or not, I can't control, but I can enjoy being me. Another one, we are unlikely to have anything in common. And then you translate that into, it doesn't matter whether we have anything in common or not. I can always ask about them and listen to them. And then here's the last one they have an example of. If I make a fool of myself, they will think I'm stupid. And then you can change that to, if I make a fool of myself, it wasn't intentional. All I can do is my best, and what they make of that is up to them. Ultimately, if you're able to master yourself, that's going to translate into your trading. That's going to allow you to then master trading. The technical part of it is not the hard part. I would go as far as saying that, anybody can learn trading. It's the emotional part that makes the great traders, that makes you a master at trading. So that is not something that I've mastered. I'm learning, and I'm confident enough saying that I have grown a lot over the years and learned a lot about myself. And trading has been something that kind of shined a light on all my insecurities, all my problems. And there was quite a bit that I had to shuffle through and recognize to be able to work through it and become a better trader. And ultimately, it's made me a better person, and I'm grateful for what trading has done. I mean, it's caused a lot of pain, but that's the thing with pain. Once you're on the other side of it, you're stronger for it, and you learn from it. So